We all have bad days. Whether it's a bad day at work, a difficult day with the kids, or simply one of those days where lots of little things go wrong. We've all been there. Well, don't feel too bad because we guarantee there are people out there having a worse day than you. How do we know? Well, we have the proof right here. But before we proceed, help us to have a good day by making sure you hit those subscribe and notification buttons. It'll also improve your day because you'll now be linked to all of our newest, fun, and entertaining video releases. What are the odds? If you're having a bad day, just consider the day Nick Blackman had. All over the world, people sail professionally, and odds are you can find some sort of big competition going on. Over in Germany, Blackman competed with the rest of his black match racing teammates. During one leg of the competition, his team took victory, which called for celebration. Two crewmen grabbed Blackman and threw him into the water as part of the festivities. That's when his day went really bad. As this picture clearly shows, Blackman's underwear caught on the boat and gave him a rather incredible wedgie. Now, we've heard of regular wedgies and atomic wedgies, but this surely requires a whole new classification. Is a nautical wedgie a thing? Because we think it is now. Who saw that coming? Maybe you're having a bad day because a rock chipped your windshield, cracked your headlight. Trust us, it could be a whole lot worse. For one Chinese driver, it definitely was. In Chongqing, China, a driver was going about their daily business when more than a rock hit their vehicle. Across the median, a truck hit a bump and its cargo fell off. In this case, the cargo was a 5-foot diameter industrial saw. The blade skipped across the roadway and nearly sliced this pickup truck and owner in half. Investigators looked into whether the blade had been secured properly. We think we know the answer to this. Needless to say, this motorist is going to need a whole lot more than a simple windshield repair. Playground mishap. When you were little, you likely enjoyed it when your parents took you to the playground. It was full of fun and interesting things to climb, ride on, and slide down. In fact, those of you who are a bit older and maybe have kids of your own likely repeat this activity. We know in such environments people can have a bad time. Kids fall, scrape knees, and hit their heads on pretty much everything. But we're pretty sure when it comes to playgrounds, this guy is having a much worse day than you ever had. Sure, it's fun to see if you can still squeeze into confined spaces, but really? We imagine the panic and embarrassment he endured trying to get out of this situation is something he won't forget anytime soon. Not Oscar the Grouch. Speaking of getting stuck in strange places, at least the guy in the playground didn't need rescue services to come to his aid. Desperate to retrieve an item from a public garbage can, one unnamed Scottish man tried to reach so far into the can that his head got stuck. Now, it's likely that you have had that moment of horror when you accidentally threw something out, but we tend to draw the line when it comes to climbing right into the trash. Not this guy. Things just kept getting worse after he got stuck. First, no one would help him out of the can because they were too busy taking pictures and laughing. Second, the fire department arrived to save the day, which only made more people flock to the area to take in the hilarious sight. Bad all around. Let's face it, one day we will all pass away, and there really isn't much we can do about it. For that reason, when the Grim Reaper arrives at our door, we're thinking that's going to be a bad day no matter what. Apparently, even moving into the afterlife doesn't prevent you from having a really bad day back here on Earth. The proof? The poor person in that coffin really can't catch a break. Then there's the driver of this hearse. His day just went from dull to really bad. After all, the back window's been smashed and the coffin is likely all chipped and scraped from hitting the road. We're also sure that neither the funeral home nor the family of the deceased are going to be very pleased with this entire situation. Special delivery! The mail remains an important part of our everyday lives. After all, when you order something on Amazon, it comes either through the regular mail or by delivery service. Many of us have ended up having a bad day because a special package or present didn't get delivered on time. Good news for the Wiles family. Their mail was delivered right to their living room. The really bad news is that it involved a delivery truck smashing through the front of their English home. Trapped upstairs, the damage meant they had to be rescued from their own home. As you can see, the damage was pretty extensive and actually required the neighbors to evacuate as well. Worse yet, the Wiles had just sold their home, and we're pretty sure the new buyer might be thinking about pulling out of the deal after this. That's not good. Have you ever been in a hurry and misplaced your keys? Likely. We all know that feeling of being late for something, but there's nothing you can do about it until you find those keys. Well, fortunately, this next person didn't really have that problem. In fact, they had their keys in hand, along with something else. Their day got really bad when they tried to open their car only to have the entire locking mechanism come right out. Now, we're no mechanics, but we're pretty sure that's not what's supposed to happen. At least they can always use the passenger door. Worse yet, unless they are handy with cars, getting that fixed is going to cost hundreds of dollars at the dealership. A little wet. When you look outside and see dark rain clouds, you likely don't get too excited. After all, if you have to head to work or do any sort of activity outside, getting wet can be a real pain. The same goes for accidentally stepping into a puddle while you're on your way somewhere. There's very little that wrecks your day like wet shoes and wet feet. Okay, there's one thing a lot worse. If getting rained on is enough to ruin your day, imagine what sort of day these people are having. After all, 1 minute you're standing by the curb waiting for traffic to clear, and the next you're hit by a tidal wave of water, soaked from head to toe. We guarantee these people are having a much worse day than you. Well, it's time for our bad day quiz. Every day, all over the United States, motorists are late for work or miss family functions because of the dreaded flat tire. Do you know the average number of times you will suffer a flat tire in your lifetime? We'll tell you after these following examples of people having a worse day than you. Redecorating. Have you had a little fender bender? Maybe you spilled a little something in your car. Both of these can definitely lead you towards having a bad day. Yet just when you're starting to feel sorry for yourself, remember that there is always someone worse off than you. Over in Europe, we found this comical yet sad situation. The driver of this car suffered a double whammy, which would likely send most of us over the edge. To begin with, they've clearly collided with the red car. Second, that paint they were carrying in the back got a bit free in the collision. All we can really say is that we hope this guy knows a really good auto detailing shop, because we can't imagine the work involved in cleaning all of that up. A bit disorganized. Many of us need to have a level of organization in our lives. From the books on our shelves to the groceries in our refrigerator, if things get disorganized, we can go a bit crazy. If you've ever had a shelving unit collapse, then you know the chaos and frustration that ensues as you try to reorganize your life. Imagine that kind of bad day, but multiplied a few thousand times. We'd like to introduce you to the Tidal, Florida, a 43,000-ton container ship that, as you can see, holds a lot of cargo. Every container is placed on this ship with purpose because it needs to be unloaded in a certain way. So when the Tidal, Florida hit a storm that left it looking like this, we think everyone from the captain to the dock workers had an incredibly bad day. Shot down. We all know that life is full of stressful moments. Think back to the first time you got up the courage to ask out that cute girl or guy. Maybe they said yes and made your day. Or perhaps they said no, in which case your day was likely kinda ruined. Let's take that up a notch. Asking someone to marry you can be an incredibly nerve-wracking experience. There's a lot on the line. For the most part, a proposal comes when you're sure the answer is going to be yes, like this guy. He clearly thought his request would work out, hence the very public request. Unfortunately, when you put yourself out like that, a negative response can be rather devastating. So if you're sad that you got rejected recently, just remember, it could be a lot worse. Dope! Every day, all over the world, truck drivers haul their cargo all over the place to make sure the factories keep humming, the store stays stocked, and the groceries remain available. From traffic and construction backups to scheduling errors, there's quite a few factors that can make for a bad day for any big rig operator. We think this accident in Germany, however, creates a very bad day for a lot of people. When this truck lost control and tipped, it spilled its 25 tons of beer onto the highway. For beer lovers everywhere, this is a rather sad event. It also makes for a really bad day for the person operating this truck because that's a huge, costly, and very sticky mess. So the next time you spill your coffee at work and think your day is a mess, just think of this poor trucker. Glad it's not me. Army life is all about discipline, training, and following that chain of command. For a lot of us, this type of life would make every day a bad day. Yet brave and dedicated men and women everywhere volunteer for this career. But do you think they volunteer for this? Okay, many of us have had to tackle a backed up toilet or drain. Sometimes it can get pretty nasty, but this is just bad on a whole new level. Cut off from his unit and surrounded by what can only be described as WMD grade waste, this Fort Bragg soldier is definitely not having the best of days. The color of that water and the puny size of that plunger suggest things are actually going to get worse before they get better. Clean up on aisle everything. If you've ever worked stocking shelves in a store or a warehouse, then you know everything has its place and organization is key. From pesky customers moving stuff around to large shipments that need to be moved quickly and placed in their designated areas, there's a lot of ways that you can end up having a bad day in these sorts of jobs. Then there's Thomas Wisniewski, a forklift operator in a cheese warehouse. We can guarantee he had a worse day than most. You see, the English warehouse where Wisniewski worked had aisle after aisle stacked high with cheese. Then it all suffered one massive collapse. With 4,000 tons of cheese all over the place, Wisniewski was trapped for 8 days until rescuers could save him. Could it be worse? It's incredible how many bad days involve something going wrong with our cars. Locked out, broken down, or even stolen, our cars can really be a source of stress. Then, of course, there's always the chance someone could hit our car or vice versa. No matter how much a fender bender can ruin your day, we found one example that trumps everything. Driving a Ferrari is definitely going to get the attention of the police, but driving into the back of a cruiser in said Ferrari? Somewhere this guy's insurance agent is doing a full-on Picard facepalm because this is probably one of the worst minor traffic accidents you could ever have. We're also thinking someone's insurance rates are about to go through the roof. So, do you know how many flat tires you are likely to suffer through in your life? The answer? 5. That's 5 times you're going to be late, stranded, or inconvenienced in one way or another. The guys in charge of statistics say there is a tire puncture every 7 seconds, so we guess it could be a lot worse. Alright, we hope this little video has shown you that even though you might be having a tough day, it could be a lot worse. In fact, The Richest has quite a few videos about all sorts of fails and bad days. From terrible translations to people who just plain failed at their jobs, we've got a little bit of everything. Speaking of little, don't forget to hit that little red subscribe button before you head out for the day. We'll be sure to see you next time. Bye-bye for now.